welcome back to the Garden. We are so excited for another episode today. Today we just thought we would kind of do like a little get to know us video and just kind of tell our story and, you know, how God has worked through our lives and just kind of get to know us. So, I guess.
I'm gonna let you kind of lead.
I guess I'll start
you do
off.
the rose and the thorn.
Yes. Like we said last time, I kind of wanted to start off every week with a rose and a thorn since we're the Jordan. And so I was trying to sit here and think of what my thorn would be, and I guess that's a good thing to not have a thorn for the week. But I've had a few roses. I was just thinking last night. We kind of just spent the day here at the house, hanging out and playing outside. And it's just been such pretty weather. And we were just kind of on the trampoline late in the afternoon, all playing. And now Adeline's getting to where she can like really play too. So it's just like so sweet to see her and Adeline and Della together playing and us all, the family.
Still in my rose.
The family all together.
And roasting the marshmallows.
Yes, and Della has made roasting marshmallows like our afternoon thing. So that has just been pretty fun this week.
Well, you already know my rose now. That was mine, like getting to hang out with all of y'all over the weekend because I've had such a busy week working. It ain't really been like a thorn for me this week.
You haven't had a lot of
but it's
early
been like
mornings, like afternoons.
lot earlier than normal, like way before the sun ever comes up, working wise.
Yeah.
And you know, that's just working more than what you normally do can add a little bit of extra mental stress to you. And so, like I don't know, you got to really try to reel it in. Mm-hmm. So whenever you get home from work that night, kids are all happy, like
ready, excited to see you.
And what I do, this is me personally. I don't even remember who I heard it from. It's been so many years ago.
Oh, yeah,
but it's like if you have a problem,
tree.
Or something, hang all your problems up outside on the tree. Don't bring your work, your problems, anything like that inside the house.
The guy said he touched the tree every time he went in the house after work.
Leave all your problems outside.
Left his problems
and then
that tree.
Way, when you wake up in the morning, there'll be a lot less problems there if you do that. So that's what I really try to do. Is I try to. That's how I try to prevent having thorns.
Bringing it into the house.
Yep.
Like,
that way, because your family don't deserve that. So it's a good. That's a good way to like.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, to kind of just kind of keep yourself in check a little. Mm-hmm. And you've already heard my rose. You stole that.
No, sorry.
But that
I just
was
was thinking that last night. I was like, this has just been a perfect day.
My one true moment was last night whenever we were sitting out there roasting the marshmallows and seeing her sitting by herself right there with it getting dark, holding a marshmallow, eating it, you know, like, and the lights in the background. Like, that was just, that was my rose right there. I was like, you know, you don't have to have a lot of money to have happiness like that. Like
money can't buy that happiness.
Right. Money cannot buy that kind of. But that's kind of my thorn and rose. Not really a thorn this week. It was just a lot of extra this week than normal. But it's just like, hey, if you got a problem, like I said, hang it up outside.
Oh, I know what my thorn is. I just thought of it.
Okay, let's hear it.
It is the baby goat, Feline. Della's favorite goat, her little baby, went missing this week. So
don't know where it went.
We don't know where she went.
It just disappeared.
Feline.
I've walked everywhere.
Rest in peace, Feline. She was very loved goat.
She was. She got held.
When we searched everywhere, Della made us walk all through the pasture looking for her and never found her.
Maybe she just went out on an adventure and she'll just come back.
Della
that's what we keep telling her.
That's what Della, she says. She just went looking for friends or something. So we'll just keep telling that story.
Yeah.
So, but that was kind of sad this week when we couldn't find that goat. So, all right. So there's our rose and our thorn. So
now it's going to be a little bit of talking about get to know us
yeah.
from the beginning, I guess, of when me and Julia first met.
Yeah, so just go
I remember whenever I first met Julia, it was
it's hard to believe.
I was not looking for what we have now. I was not looking at all for like a long-term relationship.
It happens
like
is when you're like, I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't, when you're not looking, that's when you find it. I feel like because
I
was like a senior in high school. I'm like, I'm about to go to college. I don't want a serious relationship.
Yeah, and I was just joking with you.
Yeah,
and I just sent you a message said happy birthday and said, hey, I'm going to take you out on a date this weekend, and didn't think like you was really going to go for it. And you was like, okay, yeah, that worked. And so I remember picking you up, going on a date with you that night, and then I never had a girl go hunting with me before. And then I ended up and I said, hey, do you want to go deer hunting with me tomorrow? And so I drove home, stopped by one of my buddy's house, hung out with him for a little bit, come on to the house, changed clothes, turned around, drove right back up to your house, picked you up, went deer hunting, killed a deer. And we've kind of been like inseparable ever since then. Like our whole dating process, we wasn't apart from one another but maybe 2 or 3 days, which is very
rare,
unusual.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't that type of guy like where I was like, I'm going to be right next to a girl, the same girl like every day. Like I just wasn't going to be that way. And then like with you, it was just, I don't know, it was just something.
Just different.
And I still try figuring that out, like, why? And the only thing I can come up with is, it was God meant for us to be together. Because we've just been together ever since.
Oh, yeah.
Go everywhere together, do everything together. We did when we was dating. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to let you lead it now, and then I'll
I mean, that kind of like brings us into it, how we got to know each other.
How we got to know each other.
My parents were photographers, and they did Brad's senior pictures, so I kind of already knew of you. Like, you weren't just like some complete stranger. I knew, like, oh, he's like a good, I kind of had a little background on you, so I knew of you. And so then when you asked me out, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember y'all did his senior, like you were older, y'all did his senior pictures a few years ago, and he asked me out on the date. And so, but seriously, we have been inseparable ever since.
And I mean, we've had very hard times. We've had very good times.
I wasn't even getting into the nitty-gritty of it, but
I mean, I wasn't like saying, I'm just saying we've had like very hard times.
That's what I'm saying. Even
times,
from then, there's been hard times, there's been really good times, and that's what I remember telling somebody.
Yeah, even through the whole dating process, like
I used to work with. I'm like, me and Brad, like I was like, there's no like just good. It's like either really high, like literally the whole meaning behind this is really high highs, really low lows. Like there's no just like middle ground for us. It's just like everything is great or everything is like falling apart. Like
because I think that's I put so much into it. You put so much into it. Like when we was dating, like we're starting at dating.
Yeah.
You put so much into it, and I put so much into it that every single time was like wide open. Like we're having a great time. Like we're gonna have the high of highs, and it would just be something like take your legs out from under you. So like then we'd have like a low.
Yeah.
And so we weren't the type of couple that we just kind of mediocre, just hung out one another. Like we was constantly. I always tried to think of something new to do, regardless what it might be. It was just, and one of my things is whenever we was dating, every month I'd have something for us to do, a monthly anniversary, and like one of them I remember.
I look back and I'm like, that was like kind of cringe. Like happy 2-month anniversary, happy. I mean, it was like every single month.
But it was just
happy 5-month anniversary, happy 8th month. I would make these posts on Facebook.
I didn't know you made the post.
Yes, no, like, because Brad would plan something special for each month, and I would post it on Facebook and be like, our 8-month anniversary.
I did not know you did that. I would have been a little embarrassed.
I really need to go back and find them because it was.
But I remember one time I took
month.
you. It was just so simple. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of money to make somebody happy. Like, I literally picked you up and loaded up a 4-wheeler, and I said, "All right, today for our monthly anniversary thing, we're going to go pick wildflowers." So I went to like one of my hunting leases, and we rode around on the 4-wheeler and picked up a huge bouquet.
I do remember that picture.
And I think that was a really good time. I had a great time doing that.
And that's what I'm saying. It was just simple stuff like that. Like, you planned out a picnic and.
I have a little confession. I had to get my mama and sister to help me with that. On the cooking part. Because I'm like, look, I'm working today. I can't cook everything and be ready by sunset. So would y'all mind helping? And so I remember they helped cook for me. So I'd have everything ready to go by the time I got finished working.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was just like sweet, simple things like that. They're just more like thoughtful than like, I'm going to take you to this fancy restaurant.
Well, in my mind,
they were more thoughtful things.
I was trying to plan something that would be like a very memorable type something.
And they were. So I'm saying
that
we're
you
here
don't forget. That
12 years later, and I'm still sitting here talking about the picnic that you planned and the picking wildflowers. Like, they were really sweet.
Almost sounds like you can make a country song out of it. You never thought about that?
Yeah, and so we just, literally just felt meant to be until it didn't seem meant to be.
And I didn't see it coming. I was blindsided by it.
Everything was falling apart. So, backstory.
This is where you're going to really find out that God was in this relationship with me and Julia.
Yeah,
from the very beginning.
Is that I grew up Mormon in a Mormon church and LDS, whatever you want to call it. And that's just, was my upbringing, all I knew. And didn't really ever question it, honestly. That was,
And it really all started as simple as, I didn't
you
understand.
Asking me.
But I didn't.
And it was funny because, like, the road that I grew up on was Mormon Church Road. So I just assumed, like, when I give people my address, they know I'm Mormon. Like.
And I didn't have a clue about Mormons. Like, I didn't know anything about Mormons. I didn't think nothing about it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mormon. I'm like, hey, you want to go to church with me? And didn't think nothing about it, So here comes a little Baptist country boy in the door,
Yeah.
So it's, I was Baptist, she was Mormon.
I think I went to church with you a few times, and then it started to get a little trickier. Then I remember it being like, oh, if you're going to go with him, then he needs to come with you. And that wasn't something Brad was open to.
It wasn't.
And which, honestly, after going to church with you, it was just like such a different experience. Just it was like I got a clear message every time of just like, this is
I had to cut it off.
Okay. But it was just like, a clear message of like, because I was just really confused, like, with that being how I was brought up, like, I just felt
which would be naturally hard. If you're brought up in anything.
Yeah.
It'd be hard.
Like, because they're kind of like drilling you that you're like the special one, that you were born into the church. Like, you were one of God's favorites because you were born into the church. You didn't have to like convert into it. Like, you were just born into it. So it's like went from this thing of like thinking I'm so special and to wait, maybe this isn't all it's cracked up to be. It's kind of a reality check.
I was about to say, that's what I was fixing to say. Then you got the truth of reality.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, I don't have this all figured out. I just knew, I remember sitting at my, at my old church and just having like the Holy Spirit like, go to church with Brad. You need to go to church with Brad today. And I'm like, I do not want to.
And I remember you already talking to me that morning telling me, you're not coming today. So
I was already told, you're not going anymore.
And that was when I was an usher, so I was in the back.
Yeah, so I was like...
And I remember seeing you walk through that door, and I was like, what are you doing here?
So I was just like, I asked, even though I really didn't want to, I asked, can I go to church with Brad? I mean, literally, after I've already went to ours, it's a whole thing, but, yeah, so they told me no, and I went anyway.
Snuck out and came to church.
I got in my car and left. And so then I just remember it being about, it was so, Noah's Ark. Like, that's what the message was about that day, was Noah's Ark, and, how there was only one door to that whole huge ship. Like, it was ginormous, and there's one door, one way to get in it. And that's the same way with, with Christ. Like, there's one way to Him.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of my Mormon mentality was a lot relying on me. Like, am I doing this? Am I doing that? Like, I have to meet these expectations that God has for me, or I'm not worthy, it's a lot of the worthiness of that.
I understand, because I wasn't Mormon. Like, I didn't understand the concept of, like, things that you try to tell me. I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, it don't make sense to me, which that's where you grew up a certain way and I grew up a certain way. It didn't make sense to me. Like, how can you not see what I'm trying to show you?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it really took God.
Before all this, also, I had done a ton of research, too, on the church and found out a lot of things that I did not know and definitely do not agree with. And, so yeah, that really opened my eyes to that part of being like, whoa, this isn't what I've never heard any of this in church, but I'm seeing it now, and so I'd already seen all of that, and then I think God again was kind of calling me to, be saved and not rely on myself anymore. It was actually a lot more of a freeing feeling to be like, He died for me. Like, it's already done.
I remember the day that you got saved, and I was like, there's no better feeling than, because in my eyes, I loved Julia so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no better feeling than to know, like, hey, this is the person that I feel like I love the most. And now I know, like, no matter what happens here on this earth, like, once we go to heaven, like, I'm with her now from now on. Like, there's nothing that's going to stop us.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I always get to be with you now. And so there was just such a, like you talking about, freeing feeling. Like, it was like, I get to have you now.
Yeah.
From now on. It was just such a more of a bonding moment, more so for me, and loving for you than I already had.
Yeah. And so then that's when things got a little hard between us.
Because that's whenever I wasn't
so
allowed to be around.
Then Brad wasn't allowed to come over to my house anymore. And
which it didn't stop us.
No, we still kind of met up.
Yeah, we'd meet up and go out on dates.
But you just couldn't come to my house. Mm-hmm. And then, just, it gets, it's real life. Like, I mean, that's what we've said from the beginning.
We're going to keep this as real as we can.
It's the highs, the lows. And
there's a lot of things that we're going to try to talk to on this podcast about that, most people don't ever want to open up about.
Yeah.
Like, guys don't want to open up about things that I'm going to talk about. That most time guys are, like, raised to, hey, tuck it away, grow up, like, suck it up. You need to toughen up a little bit. Don't be talking about your feelings. Yeah. So I'm going to try to touch on some things that, most guys ain't going to talk about.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what this podcast is kind of led me and her both to feel like we need to tell, like, everybody this kind of stuff. It may help
a reason
somebody.
We were put through these situations, and if it's just to help
one couple, one person,
then it's worth
everything.
And that would be worth it to.
I don't think so.
Because even today at church when he was talking today about the woman at the well, and I'm like, it just felt like such a confirmation of like, okay, we are doing the right thing. Like,
man, because it has been hard.
Yeah.
Trying to start this.
Yeah. And it just felt like really a confirmation that, God has laid this on our hearts and we're following through in it, and He is. In this, with us.
He's going to guide us through it.
Yeah. So.
I remember, everything was hard. It was after that happened, I mean, me and you both could feel it, and it was hard. Like, it was hard on me and you both. I would say.
I think would be hard on any relationship.
It was for several months right there. It was hard.
Yeah.
And then, me and you kind of we're talking about lows of lows, highs of highs.
Yeah.
We started coming out of our low. We start getting better. And then I remember telling her, I didn't want her to know how I was going to propose to her. Mm-hmm. So I kept it kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
And then we went to a Callaway Garden and, got down there and she couldn't figure out why we was going to ride the trolley. I kind of had
an idea, something's going on.
And I told her, and I had talked to people.
But we had been there for ever. I'm like, okay, if he was going to propose, he would have already done it by now.
Yeah, because I made her think all these other little things were going to be where I would propose to get her mind off of it.
Yeah.
And I ended up and talked to some photographer lady that was down there that takes pictures for Callaway Garden. And I said, hey, can you trick my girlfriend into thinking that we're going to be the cover for the whatchamacallit of Callaway Garden? And she's like, yeah. So she fell right into it. And so I said, I don't want, you just pick us out of the whole crowd, on the trolley. So I remember we was going, and I told her exactly where I wanted to propose at.
Yeah.
And so I remember she picked us two out. And
they stopped the trolley. If you've been to Callaway Gardens, it's this, all the Christmas lights. But when you get to where it's all white lights hanging, it's my favorite part, obviously. And
I remember that you thought that's what it was for,
And so then the lady's they stopped the trolley and she's like, oh, I need to get a picture of a couple here for their website. Would y'all, and she's sitting beside us, and she's like, would y'all want to take the picture? Well, sure.
Yeah, thinking, this is great.
This is so cool. I thought something was going to happen earlier, but instead we get to be the couple on the website.
And then I remember we go out there, and I dropped to one knee and proposed to you. Mm-hmm. And I could see the shock on your face also.
Yeah.
And, but it was so many little things
she already took, the thing that really got me was, she took pictures of us just standing there, and I'm like, well, I guess he's not, because he would have done that at the beginning, and then she's like, hold on, let me fix something. I think that was, her cue. She was like, hold on, let me fix something on my camera, and then Brad gets down, and I'm like, ah. So it was I was very surprised.
And then
I was even more surprised after he proposed, and then all
because
of our...
right there at the trolley, I had where we stopped, I had
all
my family, all of our family right there. I think it was your mama and Nana.
Yeah.
And my mama and daddy and sister right there. And they were all stopped on the side of the road.
Came running, and
they come running out.
I was even more shocked about that they were all there.
Mm-hmm.
And
then I ended up, we got, like, my family
Yeah.
on my mama's side
Yeah.
has always been so close. Like, I mean, like, my cousins have seriously been like brothers. Like, I mean, we grew up thicker than you could ever imagine. And I remember we called all them up and said, "Hey, I just proposed to Julia."
Applebee's.
And
like
and my oldest cousin Ben, they had just had a little girl, wasn't too old, and so for them to drive up there during the night like that with that little girl, that just shows how much like we were connected with one another. Yeah. So we all go up there, hang out at Applebee's, eat. You know, they tell us congratulations. We're on our high.
This is before like engagement parties. You know, like people have like actual engagement parties now where they.
I'm glad that wasn't a thing.
Plus, I'm saying that was our engagement party.
Yeah.
So we get engaged, and then I remember I really like when I thought about my wedding. I always thought I'd get married in like the spring, and.
But you have to know, December the 19th.
Yeah.
You have to know that
it was Christmas time.
That was
December
the date
19th.
that I
asked me to be your girlfriend.
Asked you to be your girlfriend.
Asked me to be your wife.
And then that's now that we have made that a tradition.
Yeah, now we go every year, December 19th, we go to Callaway Gardens. And now we get to take Della 99, and it is so sweet. Because I get to hear Brad tell them the story every year. So.
And I'll probably still tell them that even whenever they're driving.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
it's really sweet.
I want them to know, like, hey, me and your mama, we've always loved one another.
Oh, yeah.
Like, from day one.
Yeah. And so, then we're picking a date, and we decide we don't want to wait. I'm like, I can't plan a wedding that quick for this spring. But I don't want to wait till the next spring. So we decide on fall. And September 24th, we get married. And then
went on a honeymoon, come back.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know, it kind of felt like, hey, you're still boyfriend, girlfriend. You just get to
living together.
Live together. And it's like, I don't know, almost like you had a whole year worth of vacation just with one another.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, we're both working, we got money, like, you know.
We were living at Brad's parents'
cabin. They have
a cabin that they were letting us live there while we were, right after we got married. So it was like, everything seems like it was going so good.
Yeah, I'm telling you, high. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Everything's perfect. Yeah. Everything is as good as you could ever ask for.
Yeah, like everything was good. And then we said, we waited a few years.
Yeah. But we was looking, like, we had goals. Like, I started a lawn care business, you know. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I was going to set a goal. Like, I'm going to try to make this many. I was like, I'm going to let God run this business.
Yeah.
You know, God give me the strength, give me the clients. You know, let me be able to achieve this goal.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and it happened every time. And then, Julia, you started wedding videography business.
Yeah, I started doing wedding videos.
Started doing really great at that.
And photography. And then...
And this is where we start coming off of our... high of highs and start going back to a low of low. Well, you think it's high.
Yeah.
We're still riding that high right now because that's when we find out Julia's pregnant.
Yeah, so we decided let's start a family. And I remember it was summer and we were at the beach.
Yeah. Actually, I remember like I
think I took a test before we left for the beach, but it was too early. Like, it just wasn't really.
And I remember walking in the bathroom. You'd already left. You went with my mama and I think my sister to the beach.
Yeah, I think we drove down a day earlier.
And I remember walking in the bathroom
left that afternoon.
And I saw the pregnancy test.
Yeah.
So I called Julia up and I said, hey, I looked at this pregnancy test. And it's got a very, very faded second line on it. Does that still mean? And she's like, I don't know. I said, did you bring a pregnancy test with you? And I don't remember, did you or did I have
No,
to bring
I didn't bring them.
So I
was like,
one.
I'm pretty sure that's negative. It's like, I'll just...
We ain't never been pregnant. Like, we didn't know what to look
I was
for,
like,
really.
well, just bring them with you. And so he brought the rest with him.
And I remember you waking me up down there the first morning. It was early, like at 4:30 in the morning.
So I was like, I'll just wait till the morning because they say, like, your levels are higher, first thing in the morning. And so I was like, I'll just wait till the morning and take one. So then I took one that morning and it was, like, definite positive. So I ran in there and told Brad.
Hey, you're pregnant like now. Like, so now we're like all excited.
Yeah. So then we told his family and then came back and told mine. And then probably about a week later, we had a miscarriage.
Yeah. And in my mind,
yeah,
I thought, okay, we've had the worst happen to us. That can happen. Like, because of growing up, I thought a miscarriage was like, that's it. Like, you know, if you have a miscarriage, that's as bad as it's going to happen to you. So I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, you know, it's bad, but it's okay. We'll try again.
Yeah.
So we give it some time.
Yeah, give it some time, and I'm like, let's just, you know, give it a few months and we'll try again. So then we did, and found out we were pregnant again.
So here we go again, getting back on the high again. We come out low, going back on the high.
So we're pregnant again, and everything seems to be going great this time.
We made it past 8 weeks.
Yeah, I'm like, we're past the scary part. Like, you know, we're not going to have a miscarriage again this time. Like, everything's going good. And then I remember we had...
And I went with you to every single doctor appointment.
Every single appointment.
And I never missed one.
They did, like, the ultrasound at 8 weeks. And then for some reason, they wanted to do another one at 12 weeks.
I was about to say it was 12 weeks.
I know, so I'm saying they did another one.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but they wanted to do another one at 12 weeks. And I think I had like a cyst or something. And they're like, we'll just do another one at your next appointment to make sure that that's gone. And so when they went in to do the next ultrasound, they found a cystic hygroma, which is like fluid on the baby's neck that is related to most all genetic abnormalities.
Tell us this, we're like, okay. Like,
yeah, and I wasn't
the baby looks fine, like, is it? Like,
yeah.
Like you couldn't tell nothing.
You couldn't tell anything.
So we're like, okay, well, like, how bad is it? And they're, you know, they never really made us think, like...
But back then, you could do, like, the blood work to find out the gender. And I remember people doing that, like, oh, I can find out the gender at, like, 8 weeks because I can do this blood work test and find out the gender. And I was like, I really don't want to know the gender that early, so let's just wait till it's, like, an ultrasound to find out. And then, so they told us at that appointment we needed to do that blood work. And,
to check because it may not be nothing to it.
To check for a genetic disorder, not, you know, not just to find out the gender, not anything exciting, but to see if there was like a genetic disorder. And so we did that blood work, and it did come back that she did have
Turner syndrome.
Turner syndrome, which is called monosomy X. It's like the...
It was the rarest one, wasn't it, of the Turner?
Yeah, it's really rare, but it's just like she only had one X chromosome instead of 2. And so that's how I found out she was a girl. I was like, what a gender reveal. Mm-hmm. So then it was like a lot of...
And then we had to go
specialist appointments.
And that was hard. Like, you think... You know, it's hard enough to be like, okay, now we're facing this.
Yeah.
But you have to carry on everyday life also. Like, you have to get up, go to work every day. You got to still provide.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's very hard to go and do all that with a smiling face, knowing everything you're fighting and scared to death about because your wife, you don't know what's going to happen to her.
Yeah.
You don't know about the baby. You're being faced with all this
I just remember, like, going in the specialist office and him being like, he's like, I can't tell you 100% that she has.
I got very frustrated with it, and I was like, just tell me.
Yeah,
just
he's
tell
like,
me.
I can't tell you 100% that she has it until you do amniocentesis, and that's just where they, do that long needle to get the fluid to test it. And he's like, I can't tell you 100% until you do that, but I'm like 99% sure that it is Turner's.
Because I think legally he couldn't say 100%.
Well, yeah, unless they do that.
Yeah.
But he's like, everything, the cystic hygroma, and she had high drops, which is like fluid on her organs. It was literally everywhere. And so he's like, all the symptoms are with that. So he was pretty sure it was that, but we were still going to try to do the amnio. But there ended up not even being enough fluid to do it. So we just were like, let's not do it.
Because
it's okay. There is a chance that it could, cause to lose the baby. But, so we just were like, we're not going to do it. And we'll just, of course they tell you your options. You can terminate the pregnancy. You can.
And I talked to you about it. I said, there's no reason to terminate the pregnancy unless it gets to the point where we're fixing to lose you.
Yeah, unless it's like
I'm like, if it's
life or death,
I'm
like
we can try again.
Situation.
But I don't want to take a chance.
I wanted to give her every
chance. I was with you too, and that's why I went with you to every appointment and was with you all the time.
We went to specialist appointments all the time and our regular doctor all the time. It was just like, and I remember just like endlessly like on social media trying to find other kids that had Turner syndrome that were okay and just researching it all the time. And I remember even just like I would look for Turner syndrome, like even the ones that passed, to see at what week they passed, so I could be prepared for when it would happen.
And we kept going past.
Well, no. Well, I mean some of them, but I remember looking and it was like almost all the ones that I found were around like 20 to 21. That was like the most that I found, around 20 to 21 weeks. And that's exactly when we lost Madeline, was at 21 weeks.
Yeah.
And I remember our cousin, Morgan, she gave me like one of the little Dopplers, at-home Dopplers, and I would like check that thing every night and listen to her heartbeat and find it every day. And
I remember we were sitting there one night together and we
couldn't find it. And I'm like, well...
But it was so late we couldn't call to find out. So we had to... That was a rough night.
Yeah.
To not be able to find... And we checked it so many times trying to see if we could find the heartbeat. Couldn't ever find it. So... Couldn't hardly get no sleep.
And I'm like, well, I'll just check it again in the morning. Maybe she's turned a certain way that we can't find it, and we'll just check it again in the morning. And I was just trying to kind of make up every scenario where she was okay.
Because we was just trying to find the best scenario, case scenario out of it.
And so I called that morning, told, my doctor that, and we had like the sweetest doctor ever.
Yeah.
And she got us in right then, and they did a ultrasound and pretty much confirmed that there was no heartbeat, that she had passed. And
so then we had to get scheduled.
Yeah, and she couldn't be on call for like 3 more days to do it, the doctor that I was seeing.
And we really wanted her.
And I really wanted her to do it because she had just been so great all through it.
She's been the sweetest lady ever, like, through that. To make our situation as good as it could be.
Yeah. And so then I was like, I just don't know how I'm going to, like, live my life for 3 days, like that.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult, but then, delivered her.
And that was hard. Because I remember whenever you had Madeline, and, that you get your child, your first child that you ever get, and you hold your first child in your arms for the first time ever, and you think, man, this is amazing But at the same time, this is the only time I ever get to hold her. Like, I have to give her back now.
Yeah.
And that was a hard thing to hold your child for the first time and the last time at the same time.
Yeah. And I think that's like another reminder of God, like, you know, they're not ours forever, you know. We're His and go back to Him. And I think that's another thing, like I even think with like Della and Adeline, like you just have to give your kids to Him and trust in Him. And I mean, I hate that we went through that, but it also has been also such a blessing to my life in that way that it taught me that before I had kids.
And you know, that was like, to me, like the lowest of lows that you could get.
Yeah.
Like it took.
You question God.
And that's where, like, you know,
you're angry
like
at God.
where a boy is raised, you know, this is where I was going to talk on some stuff that most guys don't want to talk about. You know, you're raised like, hey, suck it up. You know, you get, world moves on. Regardless, you know, you can't just lay down. You got to stand up and keep fighting. And so I was the type of person, I didn't want to talk about nothing.
Yeah.
So I just tucked everything away. I would still be there for Julia. If she wanted to talk, I would listen to her. I didn't want to talk, but like at all. Like, so I ran a lawn care business, and during that time, when we lost her, there's nothing to go cut grass. Hunting season is empty. Like there's nothing going on. Like I can't do nothing. So like I just kind of really start pushing hard, trying to find any kind of job that I can to cut a tree down, to do any type of landscaping or whatever. And I didn't care about the pricing, whatever the price was. Like, I pretty much let the client pick the price just so I could be out of the house and stay busy, to try to just keep my mind going where I didn't have to think about it.
Yeah. I think we just have very different coping.
And you know, but a lot of guys
are that way.
But I'm here to tell you now, because I will tell you later on in this podcast, right now, this episode, like of what it will do to you later on in life by bottling it up,
healthy.
Of what it will do to you, and it will absolutely destroy you. And the only reason that I'm here today to tell you is because of the grace of God. You know, He's the only one that pulled me through what I'm going to tell later.
Oh.
But